All right. The number will be in the corner if you didn't catch it. So all this seems pretty simple. Why is it then that people fail to make these positive choices? I want to set these traps out in front of you, because as you walk out of here at this conference center, the traps are laying all over the floor, particularly here in Vegas. The traps are all over, and I want you to be able to recognize them so that you can walk around them and you don't fall in that trap again. So let's point them out for you real quick. Number one is this. At the time you're making the choice, the results are invisible. It doesn't look like anything's happening at all. And so you can get faked out. You can think it doesn't matter one way or the other because the results are invisible. Now, I could change this entirely right now in a nanosecond. If I had the power to collapse the space-time continuum to your choice right now, 20 years stretched out, what that choice compounded looks like, if I could collapse it and show you the reality of that, I promise you, you change your choice. For instance, let's say at lunch, you did pick the hamburger and fries, and upon the first bite, your gut explodes, your heart erupts in your chest, and you fall to the ground in a heart attack. Or the next morning you wake up like this. Hey, how do you get like that? One hamburger at a time. That's it. Or let's just say that you're out with your girlfriends, they're drinking, they say, hey, just have a cigarette. You try it, you breathe it in. At the end of the cigarette, you're like, wow, what's weird is I actually feel better than I felt before the cigarette, right? But let's say the next morning, you wake up like this. I don't think you're going to take another cigarette. Or let's just say you're a young kid, and, you try your first cigarette, smoke, all your buddies think you look cool. I mean, this looks like a young James Dean, right? All this positive affirmation. Let me take the space-time continuum and collapse it and have his future self talk to his current self. What would he say? Put the cigarette down. But for all those years, it didn't look like anything was happening until those last couple of few years, and the compound effect went wham, and it's too late. You don't make a couple of phone calls. You said you were going to tell your accountability partner you're going to make 7 calls a day to new prime prospects. But today you got a headache. You got to pick up the kids. You got laundry. You got this committee meeting that you got to go to. Just today, I'll make up for it tomorrow. And Donald Trump is called, and you're fired. Or let's just say Dave Liniger calls and says you're fired. You can't work here any longer, and your house goes up on foreclosure because that single choice, whether you know it or not, compounded over time, it's exactly what happens. Or in the heat of a battle, you're like, I know we said we never go to bed angry, but tonight, we'll talk about it tomorrow, I just won't have it anymore. And the next morning, you wake up to divorce papers, and you have to look your little girl in the eye and explain why you couldn't make a different choice. Here's the answer to this. Understand that every choice you make ignites the compound effect, either in the positive or the negative. You've heard of the butterfly effect, right? Butterfly flaps its wings, one part of the planet. On the other side of the planet, there's a tsunami. That's exactly what happens in your life. Every choice you make ignites the butterfly effect. One little choice ignites a tsunami on the other side 10, 20 years down the road, either positive or negative. Every one of them. Now, I'm not saying you got to be dogmatic and righteous about everything. Your grandmother was right. Everything in moderation. But you do have to know, there is no cheat day. There is no binge and make up for it on Monday reality when it comes to the butterfly effect or the compound effect. Everything has a consequence. So the answer to this is, when you start making positive choices and the results are invisible and you're getting no reward for your positive choice, you just have to have patience. Trap number 2. The new trajectory that you put your life on, it's subtle and deceptive. And you don't realize where it is that you're heading until you get there. For instance, let's say that a plane is on the tarmac at LAX and its nose is pointed directly at LaGuardia towards destination. And let's say that while it's on the tarmac, the nose is off by only 1 degree, which is from here to here. Did you see that? From here to here. In other words, not much. By the time it gets across the country, that 1 degree will have taken it off course 150 miles, 2 states away. So this is what happens in most people's lives. 10, 20 years come down the line, and then they end up going, what happened? How did I get so fat? How did I end up bankrupt? How did I end up divorced? Look, the reality is you might not have done anything colossal to make a mistake. You might have only been 1 degree off, and that 1 degree traveled over 10, 15, 20 years, and now you're 150 miles off your intended destination. That's how it happens. So just like a plane needs a gyroscope in the nose to guide it along its path, you need a gyroscope for your life. And one of the things you'll get with the resources is on a single page how you can gyroscope and guide your life step by step, day, week, month, quarter, so that you can end up directly with your intended target. See, it's kind of like life on the ground is more like a double black diamond ski run, though, however. Let's say you're at the top of the ski run, and your goal is that cabin with a cozy fire, comfy chair, cup of hot cocoa. And if you just point your skis directly at your target over that black diamond mogul run, what's going to happen? It's going to get ugly, right? So what happens is you start towards your intended path, and a mogul comes and pushes you a little off to the right. Now, a lot of people, not realizing it, just ski off the mountain in that direction. But you're smart enough to adjust. And you adjust a little bit, a mogul pushes you off to the left. And you still got your sights set on the target. And you do this all the way down. Now, if you look at the path, the interesting thing about this is that you are off track more than you're on track. But you can still end up in the exact chair in front of the exact fire with that cup of hot cocoa if you constantly get yourself back on track. This is the reason why having a guiding system all along the way is crucial, because however far you go off track is the same distance you got to travel to get back on track. So the only thing that separates you from getting to your intended target, if you're disciplined with getting on track, is how far you drift along the way is the only time parameter to getting to your intended destination.